With the release of 7.33, Dota has been changed significantly due to the new objectives and map changes. Naturally, there are a lot of concerns and confusion regarding how the game is supposed to be played now. Dota is literally called Defense of the Ancients, indicating that the game is supposed to revolve around objectives that lead towards the Ancients. While the concept of Dota is still the same in this patch and throughout the history of patches, which is to take towers, take Roshan, and eventually destroy the enemy Ancient, but there is more to it than that. In the previous patch, mid tier 1 tower was probably the most important tower in the game, mainly due to the fact that it gave you Roshan control and also led to invading the enemy jungle. But now, Roshan has been moved to the corners of the map, which is near the side lanes. Not only that, now there are two jungles, so even if you take the mid tower, invading their inner jungle isn't that worthwhile because most people prefer farming the outer jungle over the inner jungle as it is safer. In short, the mid tower only provides somewhat better rune control and that's about it. Having said that, this does not mean that the tower is useless. In any case, you should not be willing to give it for free, as it opens up the path towards the Ancient and also gives gold. Previously, your safe lane tier 1 tower was insignificant. Most people would just leave their lane if they felt that they could get more farm by just ditching the lane and farming the jungle and let their tier 1 die for free. But now, if you let that happen, the enemy gets control of the twin gates, which allows them to move around the map more freely. And not only that, they also get Roshan control due to that. To sum it up, the tables have switched. The side lanes dictate the pace of the map in 7.33. And mid lane is, well, it's a mid lane. That's about it. This video will cover playing the map as a mid laner, and as an example, I'll take Quinn, arguably the best mid laner at the moment. I will be explaining his movements and decision making across the map in a pro game that will help you in understanding how the map is supposed to be played as a mid laner. Let's start out from this point. Quinn is standing at mid, there's a fight going on at bottom, like if you see at the map, there's like a lot of heroes there, so he's just judging the fight right now. Isn't gonna instantly TP because he wants to see whether this is worth TPing to or not. So if you see the situation of the fight right now, Alchemist has stunned himself. They're trying to go on Boxy here, who's alone. But then, as you see here, the Ursa also TP'd, essentially meaning that the enemy team is bringing in all 5 heroes. So if he doesn't TP, there could be deep consequences for it. So right now, he's just trying to save his Alchemist, jumping on the right heroes. And after he zones out the Doom and the Ursa, he instantly coils the Void Spirit, and the Void Spirit ends up dying. So this is like a really good trade for them, and Zai also ends up dying. Ursa gets the kill on Alchemist, but it's like whatever at this point because they were supposed to lose this fight considering the fact that their Oracle already died early on. But they end up pushing the enemy team back, and they also get a few kills. So now, if you think about it, he had a double damage rune, and he could have just ignored this fight completely like most mid laners do. And he could have just pushed mid and taken this tower, right? He could have done that. But instead, he TP'd bot. There are several reasons for that. So if you look at the state of the game at that point, like if we just go back a bit, the enemy has a 1k lead, like slightly less than 1k. They have a lead in terms of gold, even though Radiant has Alchemist. And when you have Alchemist in your team, ideally you should have the lead. But that's not the case. Alchemist is like kind of underfarmed if you think about it. At 10 minutes, if you have a 4k net worth on Alchemist, it's probably not enough as you have innate farming capability. You get free gold, basically. And if Quinn does not TP here, it means that his team is essentially going to fight 3v5. Especially because the Oracle died early on, so it's like a 3v5 fight. And if you think about it, the Void Spirit does not have many counters in the game. One was Oracle because he could root, but he already died. And the second is the Pit Lord, but Pit Lord is like nowhere near the fight. Like he's not been seen. So what happens is that Quinn TP's in, he calls him, he gets the kill on Void Spirit, and in return, Void Spirit does not get to do anything. And they win the fight because of that TP. Not only that, since they managed to win this fight, their safe lane tower is still alive. If they had lost this fight, the enemy would take the safe lane tower and then they would have control of this outpost and the Roshan area. But since they lost the fight, they can't really get that. So overall, this TP was $1 million TP if you ask me. Like if he doesn't TP here and instead just pressures the mid tower with this double damage, I think GG would probably lose this game. So his first TP was so impactful that will lead to them snowballing this game eventually. So this is like the first move. So this is the second move that Quinn is making on the map. He has been standing at mid for the last 2 or 3 minutes, and now he's smoking towards the top lane. Let's see what he does by smoking to the top lane. So they're searching for a hero to pick off, and they find the techies and they end up killing him. So now you guys must be thinking, oh, they smoked and they got the techies kill, but how does that matter? So if you just go back a bit and see what the techies was doing the entire time and the top lane, right? So techies is just coming in the lane, using his mine and just like pushing the lane, meaning that this tower is not dying because of what techies is doing. But since Quinn and Coddle smoke top and they get the kill on this techies, what happens is that they end up taking this tower. And after that, Quinn just sticks around and farming the outer jungle of the enemy team because he has nothing else to do at this point. If you think about it, there are no objectives left. There's no rune timer. This tower's already dead. He can't really pressure anywhere else on the map. So instead of wasting his time going from top to mid lane, he's just standing at top lane and just farming what he can. And now he's back to mid. So why is that? So considering the fact that if you see the timer right now, it's around 14 minutes, which means it is rune timer. And from what I've judged in this entire game, Quinn has been going for every single rune. Like, he's not giving up any runes. He's always there for every single rune since 6 minutes. Since the start of the rune spawn, he's been doing that. After that, he's still just farming the outer jungle of the enemy team. But notice the fact that he's super deep inside that tower. Since the enemy is like playing over here, he's just trying to make sure that he's utilizing all the resources that he can. So he's just chilling here, farming these camps when he has nothing to do. Like, he has nothing else to do here, right? The top tower's dead. He can't really pressure this tower as he's a puck, and they don't really have that much tower damage to pressure this. So he's utilizing that time in terms of farming. And he can't really defend bottom as there's like nothing left here to do. Mid tower is really hard and kind of useless to take. So he's just chilling, waiting for the timer of his team. And overall, let's see what he does next. So he's just farming. Same thing again as the last time, right? He TPs mid instantly when he's close to the rune timer. Pushes in the lane. And now, not only him, his team is also ready for runes. And if you look at the side of the enemy, they're also ready for the rune. So runes are really important. As a mid laner, you should be there for every single rune. It matters a lot. Like, if you get the rune, you can snowball out of it. Like, you can do a lot of things with it. If you get a regen, you can do a lot of it. If you get arcane, you can be very impactful in fights and stuff like that. Not only that, you're also denying the rune to the enemy team, which is a really good thing. So now they had a dagger, they used coil on the voice spirit. So sadly, it didn't work out in time. But the thing here is the fact to notice is that now his team got the rune, right? He's gonna get the rune at top lane because they were already here. And they're also pressuring the mid tower. So if you think about that, he has haste rune, so he can just go in, and in case he's in danger, he can just like haste out. This is because he has a rune. And now his team is just pressuring mid tower because they're super strong right now. So notice the fact that every move that he makes has a purpose, right? So when he has nothing to do, he's just farming. So the first move that he made was TPing to bottom lane and securing that fight for his team. The second move he made was smoking towards the top lane and getting rid of the techie so that they can open up the top lane by taking this tower. And the third move is around the runes. The fourth move is also around the runes, except that this time they have pipe on their Underlord and they have Oracle behind them. So if you look at the damage of the Liquid side, they only have magical damage for the most part. So the damage is completely negated by the Oracle and by the Underlord. So now they can just get mid tower for free because of this. So notice how they were losing this game, but now they're somewhat back. After this point, he's still doing the same thing, essentially just farming, as there's nothing else to do, right? Like, there's no rune timer, there's no objective, so he's just farming whatever he can. He's just chilling. Now his entire team is moving towards the top lane. But he's still going to stick around the mid lane, I assume, because there's a rune timer again. So in 20 seconds, there are runes. So let's see what he does. So similar to case to before, he's just sticking around for runes. He's there for every single rune, pressuring the enemy void spirit so he can't go for the runes. He ends up using his haste, and now he also gets the top rune because he's there for the runes, right? You might argue that runes are kind of RNG, but if you're not there, it's not RNG. The enemy just gets it. So you have to always be there. Now he uses an invis for mana, pushes in the mid lane, and then goes back instantly, still farming as there's nothing else to do. Now he's moving towards the top lane. So now his team is moving towards the Roshan. So Roshan is another objective that progresses your game. Your basic idea is that I want to take the ancient down. So Roshan makes it easier as it gives you additional lives, right? You get an additional life. So if you think about it, why are they going Roshan route? That is the question. Like, why are they moving towards Roshan? So when you see the itemization on Ace, he has a Vanguard and Pipe. So in terms of like the damage on the Liquid side, it's kind of hard for them to contest this, especially when Alchemist has BKB and Radiance, right? So they're pretty much ready in case the enemy comes. They will already have vision set up and everything. Not only that, Quinn pushed in mid lane, so now they have info that A is here, this guy is here, so they can just get Roshan for free. So they just get Roshan for free, and Quinn gets the Aegis, I assume. So he does get the Aegis because he's like kind of killable, but Alchemist isn't. Like, even if Alchemist gets doomed with his ult on, he doesn't die, but Puck can die. So now similar thing here. He's just chilling, just farming, pushing in lanes. Instantly goes back mid. Notice the fact that it's Rune timer again, and he TPs in. They get a kill on A. Since they got a kill on A, and he's also going to get a Rune now. He does get a Rune, and it's a DD. So he hasn't been away for a single Rune. Up till now, he's been there for every single Rune. The skirmishes that they take are near the runes. And now he's moving towards top, and his entire team is moving towards top. So the thing is that you might think that, oh, why is Alchemist here and his entire team is top? They have this portal that they can join with, but overall, Alchemist is just going to farm backwards so they can just join. They don't have the portal right now, so they just smoke towards the mid lane. So I just want you to notice one thing about this smoke, right? What they do with this smoke is like very, very good. So they smoke towards the mid lane, I assume, because they want to kill the Void Spirit. He uses the double damage because there were no other moves to make. Like, pressuring top is not as better as killing this hero. So they end up killing this hero, and now they can pressure mid. So you might be thinking, Nisha is such a good player. How does he just get baited by that, right? So let's just go back a bit when they just like all show top. So right now you see that they're all just showing top. This is happening. And then these guys smoke. Only 3 of them smoke. The Underlord does not smoke. Underlord acts in a way, like if you see Void Spirit's perspective, he sees that Underlord is positioned very aggressively, meaning that there's a good chance his team is behind him. So he's just thinking, oh, if he's just very aggressive, then the enemy team is probably behind him. Then he just goes for this wave and instantly gets punished for it. So in terms of that, like, so far up till now, every movement that Quinn has made has been on point. Like, everything he does, like the way he moves on the map, has a reasoning behind it. Like, he doesn't move randomly. Most people just smoke randomly to get a pick off and stuff. Like, you might say, yeah, this is the same thing. You're getting a pick off by this. Just watch what happens after it. So since they got a kill on Void Spirit, they can be very aggressive. So they're just like going in, doing a lot of stuff. And now because they killed Void Spirit, they can just pressure mid tower. And they don't end up getting it, but they force a fight. They're forcing the enemy to fight inside an Aegis. So Tofu ends up dying, Underlord also ends up dying, but the fact is that Ursa uses BKB, so he doesn't really necessarily have BKB right now. He does have his ult, but his ult is going to end up soon. Quinn is manning up completely because he has Aegis, because of the moves that they made previously. So now, what happens is that even though he dies here, I'm assuming that all of these guys should die. So Ursa dies, and A dies. A doesn't die, yes. Like, there's no detection. You know, invisibility is also called invincibility for a reason. But overall, whatever they're doing, like however he's moving, has a purpose. After taking mid tower, they don't really have much to do. So Nisha's just chilling around, farming whatever he can. And his team smokes, so he's just going to show mid and push in the wave. This basically indicates that if Puck is showing on a wave, there's a good chance that the enemy isn't smoked, right? If their mid laner is showing, they're probably not smoked. That is what people think in most cases. That is what also Zai is thinking. He's just showing under his tower because he thinks, oh, Puck just showed mid, so there's very less chance that they're smoked, right? So now here, Alchemist ends up stunning the Doom. They all portal in, they get the kill on Doom, and now suddenly Doom is dead for 50 seconds. And now they can just pressure this area. So notice how they're just using smokes to get pickoffs near objectives that they want to take, right? So either they smoke towards the top lane and get that objective, or wherever they get a chance. So this time they got a chance at doing that at bottom lane, and now they got that. So now they just go back again. I just want you to notice one more thing here. So they pushed in top, and now Quinn instantly goes back and TPs to the tier 2 rather than the tier 1. So now there's like no objective left in this part of the map, which means that they want to play towards this area and wait for Rosh after that. They want this tower and then just wait for Rosh. But in that case, Nietzsche should just TP top and then just like push towards it. Why is he TPing to a tier 2 and not pushing in this wave, right? Why is he farming ancients? So there's like a key thing behind there. So if he TPs instantly to this tower while his team doesn't, the enemy will smoke and pick off his teammates, because essentially Quinn cannot join this fight. Because so Quinn is going to wait. He's just going to hit this ancient camp. He's just going to wait for his team to walk around this area, show here, so that he can also show on the wave now. So now he shows on the wave. He didn't show on the wave until his team reached this point. Now he shows on the wave. So even if the enemy smokes here, he can join his team. And now he's just moving towards the top lane, farming towards the top lane. And they get the tower here, probably, because the enemy doesn't want to fight towards it. So they're chasing Void, but he's got out. Now they got the tower. Now they're just going to chill. They get a kill on Doom here again. Derachio gets him. He's a beast. And after this point, they got more kills, but they're not going to like do much about it. Like, they have no objectives to follow. Rosh is not up. So what they're going to do is like they're going to try to limit the map for the enemy, but they're not going to try to breach high ground because it's like useless. They're just going to make sure that the enemy is completely pressured, push in waves, and just be ready for Roshan. They have the timers because they're pro players, so they don't really have to check it. Pushing in the lane again, pressuring as much as he can, but won't go high ground. Just like push the waves in so the enemy can't really make a move. Their lead is increasing, keep them trapped inside their base. And now Roshan is up in a few seconds, and they will probably look to move towards Roshan. So he's just like moving around left and right. And hopefully they go to Rosh soon. So maybe they're just looking for a pickoff before they do that. But I guess that they can just like go Rosh without that. Let's just see what they do. So he's just like pushing in waves, doing nothing. Like, there's like not more to it. Play for runes, push in waves. Now they're gonna chuck Rosh maybe. So fight happens at top lane. Quinn is already there. Because the enemy also know that Rosh is up. It is nighttime. Rosh is going to be around the top tower. And this is probably the best case scenario for Dire to fight. Because even if they die here, even if Dire dies here, they can buy back and TP on their outpost and still fight for Rosh. Right? But similarly, if they fight bottom, they can't really do that. Because they don't have Underlord either. And that's the Radiant outpost. So Radiant can actually do that. So this is like a good way to come back for the Dire team. They go on Underlord here. They end up killing the Underlord. But Underlord has buyback, so he's instantly going to buy back. Fight going on here. They're baiting everyone in. At this point, GG is so far ahead that it doesn't really matter in terms of how the fight goes. Like, they're probably going to win unless they get absolutely surprised by the nation of the enemy. And now his team is taking Rosh while he's just going to push in lane because he doesn't really have to be at Rosh. He's just pushing in lanes, making sure that the enemy does not get out. And doesn't get much when GG is just trying to take Rosh. So I think after this point, the game is pretty much over. They're going to get second Rosh, they're going to breach high ground and end the game. So, in short, in order to summarize it, every movement that Quinn does has a purpose behind him. That is what makes him a really great player. I'm not saying that other pros don't do it. It's the fact that every pro does this stuff and the high quality players do that. So if you want to learn how to play the map as a mid laner, this is one of the best examples to do that. So if I want to summarize it, I'll go over the few moves that he did. So going over, the first thing that he did was he TP'd bottom lane. And because of that TP, his team didn't lose this tower for the next 2 or 3 minutes. They also won a fight, which meant that Alchemist could stay here for longer, get more farm. And the second move that he made was smoking to top lane, killing the techies, opening up the top tower. And the third move that he made was playing around runes a lot. So what you have to look for two things. Your smokes should be very accurate. The way you move on the map should have a purpose. Like if you're moving towards an area of the map, it should have a purpose. You should ask yourself that, am I going there for any reason? Like if I kill this particular guy or particular hero, do I get anything out of it? Do I get an objective out of it? Do I get Rosh out of it? Do I get any towers out of it? You have to ask yourself these things. Don't mindlessly move around the map. And secondly, play a lot for runes. Runes are extremely important. As a mid laner, you should always be moving for runes as much as you can. because the runes are essentially your bread and butter. As a mid laner, if you have a rune, you're essentially overpowered. And not only that, if the enemy does not get it, then it's a bonus, right? If the enemy gets it, then they're kind of overpowered. It's like essentially be there for every rune, move in a really good manner, farm when there's nothing else to do. And if you're a hero with mobility and escape, you should farm aggressively on the enemy. Like you see, this guy is like always aggressive because he has escapes. So yeah, that's about it. I hope this video was helpful. My next video will be on how to play the map as a carry in 7.33, which will cover the brawly meta and how to play around it without compromising on your farm. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on it. Lastly, if you are interested in private coaching, you can join my Discord linked in the description. Other than that, I've also linked my Patreon where you can find excellent investment opportunities in terms of coaching packages. If you like the content, do subscribe, as this will encourage me to make more videos like this. Do let me know in the comments if you have any feedback. Have a nice day and good luck with your games.